My digital literacy really only started to develop in 2007. Sure, in the past I'd watched some anti-flag and rancid music videos on YouTube or played some flash games on the computer when teachers weren't looking, but I barely knew anything about technology. I mean, I had a PSP and never even knew that it was one of the most hack-friendly pieces of hardware ever put out by Sony. I could have had so much free stuff. But oh well. Point is, I lived in my own technological bubble. If it wasn't a music video or a cheat code for my favorite PlayStation game, I didn't care. Until I got sick. Towards the end of 2007, I started to have bouts of lightheadedness and didn't understand why. The feeling lasted for hours, then days, and then just wouldn't go away at all. It got to the point where I wasn't allowed to be in school anymore, because if I fell down the stairs, the school could be liable in a lawsuit. This continued for a while, and no neurologist could figure out what was wrong with me for months and months. I started to become clear that it wasn't just lightheadedness either, as I started to lose my ability to walk correctly. My right foot would stick out all the way to the right, my right leg had a limp, and my right shoulder was angled downwards. It looked like I had a stroke and it affected my entire right side. Because of this, I had to use a wheelchair for a time, and eventually, way later on, had to go through months of physical therapy to relearn how to walk. Anyways, I was stuck in my house for months with little to no interaction with friends from school, and all that was really around me was a computer. The computer screen was like a portal to the outside world, a place where everything was still normal and I was an avatar like everyone else. I never did play the social games like RuneScape, Club Penguin, or World of Warcraft, but figured out that they existed. What I did discover was Facebook. It was crazy, a place where I could interact with my friends as if I hadn't been missing months of school. Perfection. Starting a Facebook page was fun, and it let me talk to the people I was missing in school, but after a short amount of time I got tired of it. I was tired of seeing posts littered with complaints about being in school, when I was probably one of the few kids in the world who was dying to go back. Time continued to pass, and I wasn't in school. The new year came, and it was 2008. A new year was going to bring great things, I thought. And while it wasn't the greatest year, it brought one of the biggest developments in my digital literacy. On January 18th, the movie Cloverfield came out. Maybe going to see the movie with the shakiest camera imaginable wasn't the best idea at the time, but my dad was excited to see it and I wanted to have a good time outside of my house. The movie blew my mind and was received with a standing ovation when it was over. Still the only time I've ever seen a standing ovation for a movie in person. And surprisingly, the shaky camera didn't bother me. Maybe it was because my senses were already slightly off, the shakiness balanced everything out. Who knows? But I loved the movie and needed to learn everything that I could about it. Once I got home from the theater, I was off on a Google adventure. What was the creature in the movie? Who was the director? What had he made before? Is there going to be a sequel? I fell deep into the rabbit hole that was Cloverfield speculation. The movie was made to be a forum theory favorite. From theories behind the name of the movie, to where the monster came from, to hidden Easter eggs in the background of scenes, I was in heaven. I went into the movie not expecting much, and came out with so much more than any other movie ever provided. This scouring of the internet for information definitely got me well acquainted with a lot of absolute BS as well. Fake trailers for sequels, theories based on some comment left in the forum, and image alteration all made me question whether or not what I was reading was true. Cloverfield helped me hone my crap detector for the internet. I never thought about it before, but the search for information about the film may be why I decided that I wanted to become a journalist. Finding the information was some of the most satisfying research I ever conducted, and it was on my own, not some dry school paper about snowflakes or the process of making pudding. Along with the theories I was searching for, I started reading reviews of the film. I wanted to find people who agreed with me and shared my love for the film. This was when I discovered the website that most definitely changed my life, Spill.com. In their review for the film, the first line is, "Man, this movie is some old great shit. Boy, I love this. This movie was genius." Excuse the language. I knew I found the movie website that I would follow for years to come. When I would be alone at home waiting for another long day of nothing to end, I started to fill that time with movies. Spill gave me movie recommendations for little gems that I never would have heard of before from film festival circuits, like The Skin I Live In, Headhunters, and I Saw the Devil. And the community for the website was fantastic, with the hosts always interacting with the listeners and forming friendships. Spill also introduced the concept of a podcast to me, as it had several focused around movies and geek culture. Radio that I could listen to whenever I wanted about what I wanted to hear. Awesome. There was a couple of cold ones, The League of Extremely Ordinary Gentlemen, The Loading Bar, Remote Viewing, and many more. These shows helped me keep me sane when I was confined to my house and expanded my knowledge and passion for film when before I never really bothered. I missed school for 3 years, so this filled a lot of my time, and movies became a way for me to deal with the hardships of being sick. As my friend Zach would say, Joe without movies sounds like a sad existence. The website may be no more, but to this day I still listen to their shows that are now on different websites. Those websites do feel, in a way, like another life that I have, since it's completely internet-based. Every once in a while, a random internet troll may pop up in the communities, but on the most part, there's a strange sense of family and friendship. I'd be able to name and recognize several of the screen names that interact on those websites. Some people specialize in Photoshop, some always make crazy and hilarious fan art, and some actually have worked in the film industry on movies like Captain Phillips and Lincoln. Some people have even had their own television show on National Geographic. We all know each other, even though I don't know their real names. I use my real name online. Anonymity isn't for me. Inside jokes form and dictate the way conversations play out, so to an outsider these exchanges would probably make no sense. From stuff like talking about a man named Loco Steve to an ongoing milk conspiracy, there are things I talk about in these communities that would make no sense anywhere else. So in a way, it kind of makes it its own language of sorts. Through the internet, I was able to connect to so many people while I wasn't even able to stand up straight. I never bothered to tell them what was going on, because it was irrelevant. We shared common interests, and we could talk about them for hours. Who knows what issues these people might have been ignoring and pushing away during these conversations. All that mattered was the latest cool discovery. These being developmental years, I might have developed a truly awkward social personality after such long periods of not interacting with people at school. But by participating in daily conversations online and hearing in-depth conversations on podcasts, my social skills were still able to develop. Sure, it was a different and probably less effective way to maintain social skills, but I truly believe it helped. Being holed up for months without an outlet would have driven me absolutely insane. Once again, this could be one of the reasons I wanted to become a journalist, so that whenever I wrote something, I knew it would be reaching someone. Now, obviously, since I was missing school, I had to make up the work somehow, so I was homeschooled in order to maintain my grades. There were a few flaws with the home tutoring system, though. For one, if a tutor ever forgot to bring some learning material, there weren't several other copies in a supply closet right around the corner. Also, tutors would only come for an hour at a time and once a week. That's a week of work that's being condensed into a single-hour session, so some stuff was missed, and sometimes I had questions after they left. If I were in school, I would have several hours with all my teachers in the building. The internet proved to be a valuable tool. If I was lost on an assignment, I'd email the tutor to get some help, and if I was curious about something that was slightly vague or unexplained, I could look it up online. Turns out there's a lot of information on there, and you can learn a lot with just a few hours of reading. With the way the education system is today, who knows? Maybe learning stuff on the internet was more effective than in a lackluster school program. I did end up top 10 in my class in National Honor Society after all. I also had to use the internet to come up with fitness routines and help with a diet. When I was sick and unable to do much, I gained a lot of weight and ended up being diagnosed as pre-diabetic. I had to figure out a way to not only lose weight, but to change my diet in a way that I could maintain for the rest of my life. I did go to a nutritionist, but the internet was incredibly helpful when looking for nutritional information not easily available on certain foods. Once again, my researching skills were enhanced, and in the process I was able to lose close to 40 pounds in 3 months and no longer be at risk of being diabetic. Looking back, I know that this experience made my digital literacy stronger than it would have been otherwise. I learned a lot of things during this time, but my digital literacies were probably some of the most important going forward. Hopefully my digital literacies continue to grow as technology advances, because the future is going to have some cool stuff I want to play with.